Yo, shout out, welcome to Hoops Movement. Much love to all our subscribers. Special guest with us today, Chandler. To introduce Chandler, if you follow the channel, you've seen him in, a lot of the dunk videos and some of the pickup videos, but haven't brought him on to speak and make videos so much. So today we're introducing Chandler and talking about some of his strengths and some of the things that he can offer your guys' knowledge, guys and girls, yeah, all hoopers. To start off, Chandler is a dunker. You love to jump, and you've been doing it for years. What, decade more since you were little? Yeah, I'm curious to hear more about that, and I think people would especially love to hear about 1 foot jumping. So you can dunk and jump 30 plus inches off 2 foot, both styles, but especially off 1 foot. I'm not really very good at that, and we don't have really any videos up on that. So you're interested in talking about that a little bit, your own dunk background, or what, the keys to 1 foot jumping are, and so on?
My dunk journey, I guess I could say, started in my driveway. I had a little adjustable hoop that I got in middle school, and in around seventh grade, I touched the backboard for the first time, I think, and then I was like, wow, basketball is pretty cool, because before that I was, more focused on baseball, and by the end of eighth grade, I was hitting above the rim pretty easily. But I think it was mostly just coming home after school and dunking on the low hoop, and then just slowly raising it up that got me. I got my first 10-foot hoop dunk back in '05, and then the injuries started.
Injuries, huh?
Um, Back then, I was able to jump a little bit off 2 foot, but mostly 1 foot was natural for me. You can get more speed running, and it's really just all about timing and rhythm in your takeoff.
Uh-huh.
But once I had a pretty bad ankle injury. Still got a scar there from it. The bone popped through. I tore everything but my Achilles, and I wasn't able to dunk for about 2 or 3 years.
And that was from a bad landing, yeah?
It was a very bad landing. Probably about the worst possible. If I would have known about net pulls back then, it wouldn't have happened. What happened is I went up, I think I got rim checked, but my hand kind of still grabbed the rim, and I hung and swung out and just dropped straight from about 10 feet onto my ankle.
Yeah, the good old-fashioned helicopter, flip upside down and fall from the rim.
The helicopter drop, not ideal.
Yeah. You mentioned that 1 foot jumping was timing and rhythm. Can you offer any insight into that? What are you trying to time? Like, the moment you say are timing your takeoff, what is all ideally happens at that moment, or what leads into that moment?
So, leading up to that moment, you want to, gather up as much speed as you can for the takeoff, and it's all about getting a good solid plant. That's something that I need to work on. I feel like the rest of the jump for me is pretty fluid.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the keys is to really swing your opposite leg up the second that foot strikes the ground. So as soon as you start going down, you want all your momentum going up. Your arms, your other opposite hip, everything going up. And then something that I've been working on lately is just, putting an object in the way to jump over so that I can get the heels to glute action. I know that
Mm-hmm.
you touched on that previously in your channels, but I've seen that utilizing that recently has really helped my 1 foot bounce go up a lot. I figure out how to get more speed into my takeoff.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily just running faster. It's more being able to plant at high speed.
Okay. Yeah, so you talked about your injury. Obviously, you've come back from that. So, you had a string of injuries as well. That one injury kind of leads to another injury. But you've been on a
million injuries,
Yeah.
all stemming from improperly rehabbing that, I guess you could say.
Uh-huh.
It caused like a lot of the muscles in my posterior chain and my hip flexors on the left side to shut down.
Uh-huh.
And I compensated by, using my right knee more
Mm-hmm.
than my left leg, and more imbalances, which just led to instability, more broken bones, more everything, basically. Had some pretty bad patella tendonitis from some not so smart training habits. Squatting super heavy, like 3 times a week, and then playing basketball for 2 to 3 hours directly afterwards. Thanks to 5-hour energies, of course. But that was probably not the smartest thing. And then I started training with you, and injuries have definitely, I wouldn't say completely stopped, but they're, not really something I'm worried about on a day-to-day basis now that I've utilized some of your landing techniques and other things.
Okay, speaking of landing, so a proper 1-foot landing, is quite a bit different from a 2-foot jump generally, because a 2-foot jump is more straight up, straight down. There's not a whole lot of horizontal distance covered. So, I'm really into hanging on the rim, doing a squat or rolling, but I mean, 1-foot landing seems there's so much horizontal that it's, totally different thing where you need to, seems like running through is pretty good way to land. I don't know. What do you think about that? Or how do you find it to be different to land off 1 foot with that safely than when jumping off 2 feet?
So definitely, if you can run through, I know obviously sometimes there's obstacles, whether it's defenders or walls. I know you had a wall injury over in Spain.
Ran into a wall.
So
yeah.
Sometimes that's not always an option, but one thing that's nice is you can always slide. That's something I used to do a lot when I was younger and kind of stopped doing. I'm not sure why, but I like to get back into slide landings. Dwayne Wade does it a lot.
Yep.
Especially when you're moving really fast, slide's easy. You can slide and stand up right after and get down the top if you've got the speed. So that's nice. Another thing, if you can like cat land on all fours forward, sometimes I'll do that on like some bigger jumps off 1 foot. But yeah, mostly you just want to keep your horizontal momentum going if you can, I would say.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah, so don't cut back in the opposite direction. That's how we see, Paul George and Kevin Ware and Sean Livingston snap their legs were from 1 foot jumps, not running through,
so
right?
You can get some big air off of 1 foot, and if you plant and turn and try and run the opposite direction on your landing, that's a lot of force on your Achilles, on the bones of your lower leg, and
yeah, it's enough to snap the leg. Yeah. Moving on, this is interesting. So you talk about how you have dunk dreams in your brain while you're sleeping frequently, and I can definitely relate to that. I don't have it so much anymore now, but I used to have all kinds of dunk dreams, even before I started dunking on 10 foot, and I felt that was my subconscious figuring out how to do it before the brain, the body follows the brain, so I took that as a sign that my subconscious had figured it out. So do you feel similarly about that, or how important do you feel that is to helping your jumping, or I don't know. Tell me about that. I think that's fascinating.
Sorry, you're cutting it out a little bit. Can you say that again?
Yeah. So you have your dunk dreams, right? Literal flying dreams or whatever. Does that inspire your dunking, or does that help your dunking, or does that drive your dunking?
I mean, you wake up and you want to do what you just dreamt about, and that kind of, at least inspires your passion, if not, how the physics of it works is another thing. But, sometimes when you're doing something completely unrelated to basketball, like, chilling in a pool, you figure little things out like how you can get both your feet to hit the ground at the same time on a 2-foot jump, which is, a struggle. But I was working on that in the pool yesterday when I was just trying to, have fun and kick back. But, little things just come to you, all the time. If you're thinking about things, they're always going to be in your subconscious. But, yeah, I've always dreamt of just being able to rise up off the vert and cock it back with 2 hands and hang on the rim. I'm not there yet, but maybe someday.
Yeah, man, you'll get there. Okay, so current projects for you. You still have hoop dreams, which is good. Everyone loves to see someone working towards trying to get somewhere with basketball still. So you recently flew down to LA and, worked out in this combine, got a bunch of rebounds, hooked up with an agent, talking to some teams abroad. Can you talk about that process a little bit for other people who are looking to follow a similar path of alternative path? I don't know. Yeah.
So there's, obviously we have the internet, which is a great resource. Just Google hoop exposure camps for pro leagues, and you can find a million online. I think one of the keys to finding a good one is definitely to see the footage. If they have footage posted on their website, how legit their website looks. If they have testimonials from players, if those players are real players or not. Basically, just figure out if it's a scam or not, and if it's not a scam, it's probably worth your money if you have, the dreams. So I say go for it. The thing is that I just saw the initial price, and I didn't think about all the other costs that went into it. So being from Seattle, there's actually a lot of hoopers from Seattle, but there's not a lot of these exposure camps in the area. We're tucked up in the northwest corner of the country. A lot of people only know about the Seahawks or Starbucks or Microsoft. They don't really know what goes on up here.
Yeah.
So for that, you got to travel it depending on where you live. And so living in Seattle, I chose, for me, the closest location was Los Angeles. I could find what I thought was a camp worth my time and money. But then I also had to, pay for a hotel, pay for a flight. So, you really have to invest in these types of things. But, if you live in LA, there's going to be a ton all the time. So then you just got to pay the initial fee, and it's a lot cheaper. But, yeah, there's a lot of things that go into the investment. I didn't play my absolute best, but I did have the highest single-game rebound total, despite being a small combo guard. So that's a good experience.
Yo, can I ask you about that rebounding? So did you have a desire to just grab every board? Is that skill? Is it physical effort? What do you feel the key is to grabbing a bunch of rebounds? Well,
obviously the foremost skill for rebounding is just desire. You got to be hungry. You got to want that ball more than anybody else wants it. But then you got to figure out how you can achieve that. Because obviously, goals don't mean anything unless you're working towards them. So the way that I do that is I figure out who's guarding me. What advantages do I have against them? Chances are they're bigger. They might be stronger, they might not. They might be quicker, they might not. So I need to work to use those things toward my advantage. How do they box out? Do they get low? Do they stand all the way up because they're big? For me, as a guard coming from the outside wing, one of the ways that I do it is just a simple swim move. Just like a defensive end. Over, past them. Right past them. Then you just got to get up and grab the board. Always grab the board, one hand, snatch, clap that board. Nice and strong. So, yeah, you just gotta be tough in there, especially when you're going against guys, 6'10", when you're, 6'2", with shoes on and your hair up.
Yo, so speaking of the swim move, you ever use this technique? I've seen Dwight Howard do it. If the man's in front of you and you're trying to get in front of them, tapping on one shoulder and going the other way, or pushing them on this side, because they might resist, and then you know.
Oh yeah, I like to tap on the hips more than the shoulders.
Interesting.
I do that sometimes too when I'm playing defense and somebody's taking a shot. I'll tap them on the opposite hip, and sometimes they'll miss the shot to the side, and you'll never get called for a foul.
Interesting.
You never get called for a foul on anything below the waist with your hands, really, unless it's an obvious shove.
Interesting.
You pretty much never get called for a foul if you're not extending your arms.
I see.
So tap on the hip. You really get people to take some weird shots.
That shit's got to be really annoying, huh?
It can be really annoying, which
Yeah.
is a great thing to do as a defender. So one of the things I'll do on a rebound is tap them on the hip, go the other way, or I'll tap, cross, and then I'll spin and swim. I think that's one of the best ways to do it. And when you spin and do a swim move, you can sometimes even knock the guy down who's trying to box you out, and then they have no chance of getting the rebound, so that's always a plus.
Yo, something you touched on previously, talking about the hoop culture in the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, I wanted to elaborate on that as well for viewers who aren't aware of how rich we have it up there. So much hardwood. So many pros, so many pro guards come from Seattle, right? I mean, for me, playing with guys like Peyton Siva or Justin Dentman, Tony Roten, Aaron Dotson, all these, it's just absurd how many.
Throwing it back to Doug Christie.
Huh?
Throwing it back to Doug Christie. And you got Elgin Baylor, of course.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can go way deeper. Nate Robinson, Isaiah Thomas, Jason Terry, Aaron Brooks.
It's for days.
Yeah, so many guards. The guard play in Seattle is insane. And even for the players who don't make it, as a lower tier of all, amazing. We've got the Pro-Am here. We've got all kinds of players who trained with these pro players. And for me, I really felt a trickle-down knowledge of learning from people who had learned from those pros. So, I mean, how helpful do you feel that just geographic location Seattle has been to your basketball education?
I think it's been tremendous. I mean, as you know, Seattle has a reputation for being a really rainy city. So as a result, we do have some great baseball players come out of the area. We, like to be inside during the 9 months out of the year that it's raining. So there's just so many hardwood courts here and so many great players. And Seattle as a whole, as a city, is just very creative. A lot of, artistic, musical, just creative-minded people, and that's really something that you'll see in the guard play here, is just people who, love to create. So you got, Jamal Crawford is a perfect example.
Jamal Crawford, forgot him, yeah. How could I forget Jamal?
Yeah, he's got a million moves.
Yeah.
And, they're just so creative and so unique, a lot of them. I know you've featured some of his moves on your channel.
Oh, yeah. He's amazing.
Yeah, he's amazing. And one of the great things, too, is, all these guys come back and they give back to the community. Not just in the form of camps or Jamal Crawford's Pro-Am League, which offers a great opportunity to see all the Seattle players come back home, but also to get some smaller name guys contracts places, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But Jamal also, donated millions of dollars to his high school that he attended. So these guys, they give back to the community quite a bit, which is pretty fun, pretty cool to see.
You mentioned Seattle has a lot of hardwood, and for me, I didn't realize how special that was. I was like, yeah, there's going to be indoor hardwood everywhere. But, when I went to Spain, Spain's basketball rich, right? They're maybe the second or third best league behind the NBA. Probably the best, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, they're one of the best. So I was expecting there to be easy access to hardwood. But when I was living in city Oviedo of 200,000 people, there's hoops everywhere and there's teams everywhere. There's only one hardwood court in the entire city, and that's for people to play their games and the pro team to practice for everyone to get in there. And if you're not on a team, you're not getting on hardwood. And even if you're on a team, you're getting in there rarely. It's pretty much all concrete for days. So I think that is a really special thing about Seattle and places that have hardwood, because we take that for granted. I mean, hardwood, you can jump higher with less injury. Like it really pushes the dunking culture as well, which is good in Seattle. There's a lot of the guys come from not necessarily Seattle, but around Seattle, like Golden Child, for instance, like Tacoma, right?
You froze. Are you still there?
Yeah, we're back.
Oh yeah. We got Golden Child, Nate Robinson, Zach Levine. All these guys are from the Seattle area.
Is Zach Levine from around here?
Yeah, he went to Bothell High School.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, but he didn't stay up here for college. He went to UCLA.
Uh-huh.
So.
Yeah, so.
Kind of a traitor. I definitely, back in the day, wanted to get to SoCal, but didn't end up working out for me.
Yeah. Man, who else? Terrence Ross, right? Used to run at the IMA, right? Like, it's too bad.
Yeah. He's an amazing player.
I've got all these pickup runs uploaded, that y'all have seen from the UW IMA, but didn't get any up with UW players, pro players, future pro players, but they'll be in there. Not just basketball, but right, we have Seahawks coming in there and stuff like that. So there's just such spread of athleticism. Like, it's pretty easy access, even if you're not on the team or whatever. In Seattle, you can still learn from. There's opportunities to learn from pros still.
Oh yeah, Jermaine Kearse he's a tremendous basketball player in his own right. I'm sure he could, if he decided to stop playing football, find a place, some pro team to play for. He's great. Richard Sherman loves to hoop.
Doug Baldwin.
He can definitely lock down on Doug Baldwin too. There's a bunch of hoopers on the Seahawks that come out, so that's pretty cool. A lot of former UW players who are pro players overseas come back and hoop at the IMA.
Yeah, in the summers you got that.
And Justin Dentman, a lot of guys will come back and play when they're in town, and it's a fun time.
Yeah, man, I miss Seattle for that reason. The hoop culture is unlike a lot of other places. Not the best street ball culture, but it's so hardwood rich that who cares, right? Like.
Oh yeah, you can always an indoor game, that's for sure. Like, even the 24 next squad where I go, I can play 3-on-3 at 2 a.m. if I want to. There's almost always someone on the court. It's pretty great. And there is Green Lake for the street ball. It's featured in NBA Street, the video game.
Yeah.
It's a very scenic place to play, but
yeah,
it's not always the best runs, and there's sometimes, a lot of fighting.
Yeah, but we also got some pro players who show up there.
Oh, yeah.
At times.
Tony Roden will come out there, too.
Yeah.
So it's a good time.
Another guy. What the hell is this? What's the name of the Olympic jumper? I forget his name. The long jumper. Norris Frederick. Yeah, so we have Olympic jumpers around too. Like, yeah, it's just there's so much knowledge in Seattle, around Seattle, for how to jump and athleticism and such.
Yeah, it's a special place. I've seen Norris post some videos training at the same gym I do. Nate Robinson will train there sometimes too.
Yeah, well, you just see these guys at random gyms just because people love to hoop,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Anyways, so yeah, I think that people would love to see your training videos. So if you're watching this, let us know in the comments. And yeah, you're definitely invited to spread the knowledge because you have some, unique perspective. We've got a diverse athletic background.
You froze again.
That's okay. So yeah, man. Glad to have you on, and I suspect this will not be the last time.
And thank you for welcoming me aboard. And shout out to all the hoopers out there watching.
Yup, keep your hoop dreams alive, y'all.